Alysa Liu hadn't even been inside the arena for 10 minutes before her Olympic comeback officially kicked off. It was the opening week of the Milano Cortina Games, and the pressure bearing down on Team USA had reached a breaking point. For Alysa, this was supposed to be the moment she proved everybody wrong. The moment the burned-out Wonder Kid showed the world she could reclaim her place on the ice. But rather than running through focused warm-ups, she found herself stuck in a van. A vice-presidential motorcade had completely choked the streets of Milan, leaving the United States champion tangled in a security nightmare while her competitors were already running through their final edge checks. Most athletes would have walked through those doors in tears. Most would have watched their Olympic aspirations get crushed by a traffic jam of all things. But when Alysa finally came bursting through the arena entrance with only minutes to spare, she wasn't falling apart. She was laughing. She threw her skates on in a frenzy, bypassed the televised warm-up entirely, and stepped out onto the ice to deliver a short program so full of joy and defiance that it shut every critic up instantly. When she touched down on her signature double axel with a slight wobbly imbalance, she didn't wince. She didn't shoot the judges a nervous glance. Instead, she flashed this hilarious, quirky little face. And afterward, she simply shrugged and said it was basically an oopsie. That oopsie moment has since become the defining snapshot of her entire Olympic return. It wasn't just a reaction to a shaky landing. It was practically a personal statement. It told the whole world that the Alysa Liu standing on the ice in Milan is a fundamentally different person from the one who disappeared 4 years ago. She isn't just back to chase medals. She's back to reclaim her life. And as it turns out, when you stop obsessing over the score and start caring about the craft, you become nearly impossible to beat. To really grasp how massive Alysa Liu's comeback is, you have to understand the enormous shadow she cast as a kid. Before she became a rebel, she was a machine. Born in Clovis, California, and raised in the cutthroat world of Bay Area skating, Alysa was the ultimate groomed talent. Her father, Arthur Liu, famously poured over $1 million into her career before she even reached high school. By 12, she was the youngest skater in history to land a triple axel. By 13, she became the youngest United States national champion ever, snapping a record that Tara Lipinski had held for 22 years. She was the chosen one, the girl with the braids and the constant smile who was supposed to single-handedly rescue American women's figure skating. But behind closed doors, the prodigy was suffocating. Her entire existence followed a rigid timetable of 5 a.m. wake-up calls and homeschooling crammed into the backseat of a car. She was a naturally outgoing person trapped in total isolation, shielded from her peers by a bubble that simultaneously exposed her to the ruthless, around-the-clock scrutiny of the internet. By the time she showed up at the 2022 Beijing Olympics at just 16 years old, she was landing quadruple jumps for a sport she had grown to despise. While the rest of the world watched her finish 6th, Alysa was already mentally counting down the seconds until she could pull those skates off for good. She wasn't fighting for a medal, she was fighting for an exit. Weeks later, she stunned everyone by announcing her retirement. She didn't just step away, she bolted. For 2 full years, her skates sat collecting dust in a closet. She admitted at one point she genuinely didn't even know where they were anymore. This was the lost chapter of Alysa Liu's story. But from her perspective, it was the first time she had ever truly found herself. She did everything the skating establishment told her she shouldn't. She went on road trips with friends who couldn't tell a Salchow from an Eilitz. She enrolled at UCLA to study psychology, finally experiencing the ordinary social life she had been denied for an entire decade. She traveled to Nepal and hiked all the way to Everest Base Camp. She tried volleyball and tennis. She dyed her hair with wild raccoon stripe highlights and got piercings that would have sent a traditional skating judge straight to the hospital. She was living what she called her best life, and she was absolutely certain she would never set foot on it. Competitive rink again, she later admitted she genuinely couldn't stand skating for a while. She wanted absolutely nothing to do with it, but in early 2024, something quietly shifted. It wasn't a coach reaching out. It was a casual ski trip with a group of friends. As she felt the rush of cold air on her face and the adrenaline of the speed, something clicked in her brain. She realized she missed that dopamine rush. She wandered into a public skating rink just to see if her body still remembered how to move. She tried a double axel in her old beat-up skates and she landed it clean. That was all it took, but this time around, the conditions were different. If she was coming back, it wasn't going to be on her father's schedule. It was going to be entirely on her own terms, with her own music choices and a flexible mindset that put joy ahead of the podium. The 2025 season was originally meant to be a trial run, a way for Alysa to gauge whether she could still hang with the world's best. Instead, it turned into a scorched earth showcase of technical brilliance and raw emotional honesty. When she arrived at the 2025 World Championships in Boston, all the attention was focused on the dominant Japanese squad. Nobody expected Alysa Liu, who had barely been back in full training for less than a year, to be a serious contender. Then she skated her short program and stunned the entire field with a personal best. She performed with a maturity her younger self had never possessed. She wasn't trying to impress the judges. She was trying to share something genuine. In the free skate, she was nothing short of extraordinary. She became the first American woman in 19 years to claim the world title, ending a painful drought that had haunted the US program all the way back to 2006, but the most meaningful part of that victory wasn't the gold medal itself. It was her reaction sitting in the kiss and cry. She was sobbing not because she had won, but because she was genuinely proud of the performance she had given. She had taken back the sport. She was now the frontrunner heading into Milan. But for the first time in her entire career, she didn't feel the weight of that pressure. She told reporters in Boston that medals don't define her worth. She said she gives herself that validation when she creates something meaningful. That was the birth of Alysa Liu, the skater who treats the Olympics like a stage and treats the scoreboard like an afterthought. Now here we are, right in the thick of the Milan Games, and the Blade Angels have officially made their entrance. The name started in a group chat between Alysa, Amber Glenn, and Isabel Levido. It was their way of celebrating their bond in a sport that typically runs on rivalry. Together, they've become the most beloved trio in the history of American skating. A crew of rebels who flatly refused to fit the Ice Princess mold. In the team event earlier this month, Alysa was the absolute heartbeat of the group. Despite the motorcade disaster and zero warm-up time, her second-place finish in the short program delivered 9 critical points to Team USA. She skated with a freedom that was contagious. When Team USA climbed to the top step of the podium to accept their repeat gold in the team event, Alysa was the one jumping the highest. Then came the medal drama. Shortly after the ceremony, a video spread everywhere showing Alysa showing off her gold medal with pure excitement. She had been bouncing around so enthusiastically that the medal literally snapped clean off its ribbon and hit the arena floor. It got pretty scratched up, kind of dented, she joked in a post-ceremony interview. Officials eventually asked her to hand the damaged medal back so they could swap it out for a fresh one. Alysa pushed back on that. She said she actually preferred the medal when it had fallen off the ribbon. She had already grown attached to it in that condition. To her, the dented, scratched-up medal was a mirror of her own journey. Not flawless, a little beaten up, but 100% real. It connected her to millions of fans who were exhausted by the polished, picture-perfect Olympic storyline. Tonight, February 17, 2026, Alysa Liu takes the ice once more for the individual women's short program. The stakes couldn't be higher, but if you catch a glimpse of her in the warm-up area, you'll find her clutching a plushie of Pachita from the anime Chainsaw Man. Tonight is the moment everyone has been building toward. She is the reigning world champion and the Grand Prix final winner. She is the favorite to snap a 24-year drought for an American woman in the individual gold. But Alysa Liu isn't sitting there thinking about the national anthem. She's thinking about the vibe. Her new programs are a direct reflection of her ownership over her own story. She handpicked the Lady Gaga medley for her free skate. She chose the bold costumes. She even selected her coaches specifically because they treat her as an equal creative partner rather than just a student. She's told reporters she sees competitions more as a live performance stage. Her entire goal is to fire the crowd up and give them something to feel. That mindset is her secret weapon. While her rivals from Japan and South Korea carry the crushing burden of their national federations on their shoulders, Alysa is skating purely for the rush of it. She has already proven that walking away at 16 was the smartest move she ever made. It gave her the space to grow up, discover her own voice, and understand that figure skating is simply something she does. It is not the whole of who she is. Whether she wins the individual gold tonight or ends up at the bottom of the standings, she has already claimed the most significant victory of the entire 2026 Games. She has won the right to be exactly who she wants to be. Success for Alysa Liu in 2026 isn't measured in points. It's measured in ownership. She has shown every young athlete out there that you don't have to stay on the path someone else mapped out for you at age 5. You can walk away, you can go to university, you can hike to Everest, and if you decide to come back, you can do it with raccoon stripe hair and a smile that says this isn't that serious. She swapped out the Ice Princess for a rebel queen. She replaced the fear of failure with the pure joy of performance. And in doing so, she has made figure skating more relevant to a younger generation than any triple axel ever managed to. Alysa Liu is the first skater to prove that the most powerful move you can pull off on the ice isn't a quadruple jump. It's the decision to simply be yourself. The individual short program is starting right now. The raccoon hair is ready. The Oopsie Queen is about to take her stage. Milan is watching. The Blade Angels are soaring, and Alysa Liu is exactly where she chose to be.